Sounders, hello, this is a bloke called Mick here. I'm afraid I've been away from the Pompey soundways for more than a week, visiting a daughter in Amsterdam and drinking a lot of Heineken. I will confess, just to you, Sounders, I did watch the Sheffield United game. It so happened it was on my birthday. And who wants to relive an anticlimax like that on their birthday? So I didn't report on it. And then I went away. And then, while away, I paid, as I know so many of you Sounders do, to watch Pompey Plus. If you're abroad, you can. And I was. And I watched two absolutely comprehensive away wins. Not one, but two. But I didn't have time to ramble on about them with you on Pompey Sound, because, Sounders, we don't just throw things onto the airwaves. You might not want to believe this, but these things take a bit of thought. I know it doesn't sound like it, but they do. But I then got home, and it's been Wrexham away since then, so I'm ready to talk to you. I didn't get to Wales, but I know a Sounder who did, because he very kindly messaged Pompey Sound to ascertain that I hadn't passed away, to explain my absence from the airwaves. That was extremely kind of him. And so I'd like to thank Peter McGreal for his thoughtfulness. He was the only one, Sounders, the only blighter who was prepared to show any concern at my absence. And in return, I hope he enjoyed his night at the racecourse ground, because he told me he was going with a mate. He said, and I quote, "I hope we get a point or more. Perhaps I'm being greedy." I don't think you were, Peter. I think it was perfectly reasonable to look for something out of the game after the previous two away performances. In retrospect, and everything's easy to analyse in retrospect, 3 away games in 70 days. 3 away games in 7 days is demanding, draining energy, concentration, and I suppose squad resources. But 2 things to say about the defeat. First, that the 3 games increased in difficulty as they went on. Millwall holds a far higher league position than Charlton, and Wrexham simply looked a better prospect for promotion than Millwall. Also, Wrexham had been alerted, sharpened up, you might say, by Pompey's 2 previous games into, according to Regan Poole in a post-match interview, the fact that they modified their setup to cope both with Pompey's wide players in attack and their playing out from the back, which they'd obviously had a good look at against Charlton and Millwall. Phil Parkinson and his side, in other words, took Pompey seriously at the level of their recent results. And Wrexham matched our energy in what turned out to be a very good first half for them. But I'm sure Peter McGreal and the other 1,500 or more Pompey warriors who went to Wales were warmed by the second half. Even John Massinho himself confessed he was surprised by the energy and challenge the Blues supplied after the break. After all, not only was it the 3rd away fixture, but we also lost during the game 2 of the success stories of the Millwall fixture in John Swift and Gustavo Caballero. And yet, Sounders, we created 11 second half corners. 11! Wrexham were rocking. Okay, they survived. But they were grateful for the whistle. And in all honesty, they looked the more tired at the end after all our travels. And Wrexham, they'll probably finish in the playoffs. And why not? Good luck to them as far as I'm concerned. Let's get on to our lads. Nicholas Schmidt. He's not one to worry about, is he really? Although his distribution did appear to be harder than usual, I felt, with Wrexham squeezing wide players high up the pitch so that he had... it didn't have easy pass outs to them. It had to restrict his passing into midfield more often. But anyway, Nicholas Schmidt had no blame for the goals. Terry Devlin was less effective than usual, I think it's fair to say. And his understanding with Caballero needs work, but he's having a magnificent season anyway, that young man. Full-back honours, though, went to his mate, Zach Swanson, against Wrexham. Swanson can lift the team. We've seen him do this with Pompey, and he did so when he scored after clever interplay with Poole. And the main attraction of all that was that they both found themselves way up in such an attacking part of the field. And that resulted in a goal, and the adventure almost turned the game. Zach Swanson was named man of the match. Regan Poole and Connor Ogilvie had a tough time, particularly in the air with Sam Smith and Cleworth and Thomason, who joined so often at set pieces. Marlon Pack and John Swift did look a little tired in the engine room, and you felt that tiredness even affected Ebu Adams for the first time in my recollection since his so successful arrival at Pompey. And out wide, Milenik Ali had another fine game, which Pompey really failed to capitalise on. No one yet has kept Ali quiet. Whereas Gus Caballero was subdued and subbed off at half-time. Whether because John Mousinho was disappointed with him or that he hadn't recovered fully from Millwall, I really don't know. And Colby did what Colby does, never hides, but if we're brutally honest, didn't particularly threaten. And so on for Swift came Segacic, and I thought he did well. I thought he helped lift the second half revival, recovery, whatever you like to call it. And also Harvey Blair did well when he came on. He took on his fullback constantly and forced repeated corners. It was good to see him get half a game under his belt. Good to see him back. I think we hopefully will see a lot more of him. The wing positions are going to be interesting. Finally, it was also good to see the return to action of Connor Chaplin. And, of course, the very first minutes of Madio Dia in a tall Pompey shirt. We'll see more of him. I'm looking forward to that. Good luck to him. If there can be such a thing, Sounders, I don't reckon Wrexham was a bad defeat. So I'm now going to go away, not to Amsterdam. I'm going to go away and I'm going to think up something to say about the last few weeks, which have been interesting, and the flirting with relegation, why that was, and how we all reacted. Panic in PO4, I'll call it. Take care, Sounders. Play out, Pompey.